Welcome to Underground Wealth Secrets, hosted by Julie Houston on behalf of Bob and Ed Diamond. This is your friendly guide on leveling up your business, achieving financial freedom, and changing people's lives. This is for serious players who want to surpass their current stage and move the needle further. Tune in to get practical advice and eye-opening stories of industry leaders across the nation, teaching you how to scale your business with a strong financial mindset and true to your core values. Let's get this discussion started with your one and only host, Julie Houston.
Hello, everybody. This is your host and moderator, Julie Houston, on behalf of Bob and Ed Diamond. I am very, very honored and excited today. We have a guest that I've known for quite a while now through our relationships in the industry. And I want to introduce her to you. Her name is Ann. Ann, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's such an honor to have you on Underground Wealth Secrets.
It's my privilege. I'm excited to be here and share kind of my background story and what it can mean for people who, well, in my case, sort of humble beginnings through different family enterprises that we had.
Wonderful. So before we dive in, just so the audience knows, I've met Ann through other relationships years ago, and she has an incredible business model that she's going to share with us today. But aside from that, I want to learn a little more about Ann. So Ann, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of where you started and how you kind of ended up where you're at today?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say as kind of a background, my mom, when I was a young girl, I had knitted some Christmas bells that my grandmother taught me how to knit. And my mom said, you should go out in the neighborhood and sell those Christmas bells. So I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. I was very young. And my first store was a cardboard box. And my bells were in there. And I even had a 3 for $1, a 3 for $1. My bells, you can't see them. Actually, they're right up there underneath by that panda bear right there. Those are 3 of my bells. As a memory, it's on my bookshelf there. Yeah. And so I sold them 50 cents a piece and 3 for $1, a bundled offer. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, my mom set me up. I went out in the neighborhood and my mom was not with me. I went out by myself. I sold every single Christmas bell. So it's not like I went straight up into business at that time, but it sure was embedded in my mind, that experience of holding this box. And I did sell them all. And it had this sound of the rustling of dollar bills and quarters, because my mom had to teach me how to, exchange for $1, and you give the 50 cents and all this kind of thing. And I learned that I had value in the marketplace. I created something, I went out and I sold it. So then speed forward, it really wasn't until after college, actually, that I then got into direct sales. So direct sales was my way of then getting into selling other people's stuff. And so home parties, so this goes back a long time for those of you who are more in my age grouping. We had home parties. Now it's like home parties we buy off of Facebook and all this kind of thing. So anyways, I did that, and I really, really enjoy sales. I love it. It's fun. It's exciting. I think it's a wonderful trade. And then I'm also a marketer. And the background behind that was I taught my boys. We had numerous family businesses over the years. We did real estate investment. I can't say terribly successfully, mind you, but we did it. And we went through Carlton Sheets way back when. This was tapes, back then. And then I was exposed to Robert Kiyosaki, who of course encouraged real estate as well. But really where I found my sweet spot was online marketing. And so I had my son read all of Robert Kiyosaki's books in high school. We ended up partnering together as business partners in 2005. And he had become one of the top affiliates in the world at age 21 for Best Western, Walmart, and Get Response. So when he was 21. So he was kind of doing his own thing. And then I was going my own path, getting into some online training and marketing. And then I said, This was after he had a really severe motorcycle accident. He's living in our house as I was taking care of him. And I was starting to take off, and I said, you should consider partnering up with me, because he was becoming a top affiliate marketer. And then I was learning more of the sales side. So we formed a partnership. And so our first ebook, the schematic of it is right on my wall up there, that we sold $4 million worth of our first ebook. Oops, now I just lost my video there.
Really?
Yeah, our first, there we go. So that was in 2000.
$4 million on an ebook?
On our very first ebook. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's because he was very good at Google AdWords. So, doing affiliate marketing. And that was before things changed after the Google slap of 2009. And they kicked off 10,000 direct response marketers. And then thankfully we had a really big list, 400,000 people on our list. And we lived off that list, I kid you not, for almost 8 years with a team of 8 to 10 people doing affiliate marketing. So the moral of that story is a list is a very, very valuable asset. We had a little convo about that and before the show started. And so we literally lived off that list with little bouts of being able to get on the ad platforms. Not for very long, because we're in an industry that the platforms didn't really care for. It was called network marketing, MLM. And so we kept getting booted off. And then that's why we then shifted into e-commerce. And so a lot of times business as I don't know if you want to call it a wealth secret, but it's knowing when to pivot or how to pivot and do it successfully. And this is the life of an entrepreneur, is you have to reinvent yourself sometimes. And that's what we did. So we had a really great, intro into the industry together. Bam, huge, really great. Built up that list. Then there was lean times while we're living off that list. But we kept a team together through all that time, and then shifted into e-commerce training space, which has been wonderful.
Wow. So how long ago did you shift into the e-commerce space?
10 years ago, it was, I did a promotion. I had an inner circle. We were teaching building sales funnels back in, this would have been December 31st of 2013. And so it was kind of this arcing, it took us about a year to fully transition out, because we did have a mentorship group at that time. But then the success with our students was so immediate. It was like, yeah, we'll go this way now. And so we haven't looked back. And now we're moving into building a company of companies as we then build up the resources that help support Amazon sellers. That's what our 3-year living vision is about now. So that we're not just teaching or training, which is bedrock and important, but necessarily they have these other services that they need. So we're going to be building kind of a supply chain of sorts, is what we're working on. That's the movement that we're going towards.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So that it's more of an all-encompassing. They need prep and ship centers, for example. They need teams of VAs, for example. They need product leads lists. And so we are going into expansion plans beyond our training. Yeah, that's the forward direction of the company. Well, it is, because I want to do more than just training. I want to build up the assets, like the real estate assets that can be, a part of this whole industry. It's so huge. It's so huge that this is not going away. E-commerce, as we all know, is not going away. It just keeps growing more and more every year because people get addicted to buying online. Yeah.
Oh, that is so true. So do you do primarily a lot on Amazon?
Yes.
Or have you done other platforms?
We have. We were teaching on eBay. eBay is just so minuscule compared to Amazon. And if anything, as it relates to eBay, it's more so from the perspective of multi-channel. But it takes people, just like it takes time to learn multiple ad platforms between Facebook, YouTube, etc. Each one is so unique and different that you don't like quickly master that and then you're on to the next one. They each are a beast unto themselves for ad platforms. And likewise then for the different e-commerce platforms between eBay, Etsy, Amazon, etc. But Amazon is the big 600-ton gorilla, whatever, the big behemoth in the room.
So it's
Walmart is the
okay.
closest,
I
but
often wondered that.
oh yeah, by a
Often
landslide.
did wonder that.
So it really is best to
Wow.
start with Amazon because it's really the gold standard and they will train you by default. They train you to be a good e-commerce seller. You'll feel it through their terms of service. If you do any little shenanigans, that's just not how it works on Amazon. You've got to follow their terms of service, but their market reach is just so enormous. It's so
Oh my
enormous
goodness.
that you wonder, because 10 years ago, my son and I are like, yeah, but what about saturation? It's still a non-issue 10 years later.
Yes.
And I'm not saying there
Still not.
isn't competition, but you still can make a very good living on Amazon. So it's a good place to be.
So I gotta ask, has there been a person in your life or a role model or mentor that really impacted you on your entrepreneurial road to success?
Yes. I will say it was primarily through the first training company that I became engaged with back in, when was this? 2004, when I first came online. It was actually through my son's prompting, Mom, you really need to go online. So, okay. And I sure would like to know what keywords I typed in. But I had the good fortune to have a really great first online mentor. It was a training company. But I knew I needed more than just training. I like to have a mentor, and he was fantastic. We still work together. It's coming up on 19 years ago. My first online mentor is my top executive in my company. So yeah, that's who impacted me, and we are still working together.
How incredible is that?
It's pretty amazing because as we both have realized, wow, I probably talk to you more than my own spouse, when you're working. And
Yeah.
and I do have to say,
with your work family.
you do. And I have to say, I only want to work with people that I like working with. And if I don't like working with someone, I don't want to have a bummer work environment. I learned that through a partnership that I went through early in the day. And I always look at what's the big takeaway here. And boy, there's no amount of money you can pay me to work with someone who's a painful working relationship. There is no amount of money that you can, in my instance,
I'm with
no
you.
way.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It's like, nope, don't need
It's
it.
too short. My team is the same. We have a good morale. We work hard. We play hard, but the morale is always fun, and you got to have a good team and be around that. I agree.
Yeah, a good team is the most valuable asset you have in business, in my view. And this is why I worked so hard to keep it going during those lean years. My team, I got to keep my team, and it's always the team, because it's hard to replace that sync and that energy and that brain trust. And it takes a lot you cherish your team to get it to that level.
Oh, I do. They're like my family.
Yeah, it's a family. Absolutely. And our people will call it as such. And it's like, you want your work environment to be meaningful and enjoyable.
Yes, I agree. All right. So I got another question.
Okay.
Got to ask this. What is one of the biggest learning experiences that you've ever had in your life of owning all these different businesses that would be something you would think, I need to share this with the viewers?
Okay.
Like, if there's one good thing you could think of that you could share that
There's
you learned
kind
from.
of two, but the one is more painful emotionally. And so that ties in again with who you're working with. So a bad partnership. And I'm talking when you incorporate with someone and they'll tell you, the lawyers, okay, now just so you know, this is like a marriage. Once the papers and all this. And there was one, and I can see when you're not in a position of strength and you're going into something without that, and your perception anyways is if you're going into a position where you feel you need them more than they need you, and then you might be a little more vulnerable to fall into a bad partnership. So this is what was happening with the situation, and we're moving along with the papers, but there were red flags. Okay, you know how that is with the red flags. The red flags,
the occasional gut feelings in the beginning that eventually get to the point where you're like, I just know it's not right.
And so it was progressing along, and it would be, for me, what I can't stand is when people say they're going to do something and they don't. And I just, like, for me, my word is my bond. It's my highest asset is my word and my reputation out in the marketplace. And I am very vigilant over that, because that once it gets tarnished, that's hard to rectify. So
it is.
I mean, that is because the internet has lifelong history, you know. So in any case, there were these red flags, and my husband was seeing them too. And those papers, they sat there unsigned because there was yet another not following through. And I thought, this doesn't work in partnership. That's not cool. Because when you say you're going to do that, I start to move forward my engine in the plans. I start to roll it out based off of that. You're going to do this and that. Okay, cool. And then, do you mean I'm halfway down the football field? And how's that again? You're not going to be doing that? It's just, no. So I need that transparency, and not, it's really what I see as a mark of just incredible immaturity and a lack of just candor and openness. So for me, it's getting into bed with the wrong partner legally. So just
biggest learning experience.
Oh yeah, because that one that I mentioned a moment ago, that was my first one online. And so then there I was again, and it's like, I got to pay attention to those red flags. So because I'm telling you to get out of those agreements. And then, you know, so just really get counsel. And if you have to talk to 3 different attorneys, whatever you got to do, you're better off doing that due diligence at the beginning, instead of the mess that you have to deal with afterwards is just so not worth it. So that one we were able to circumvent before it was actually, you know, signed on dotted line. So just it's being very aware of who you partner with. Yeah, that's the hardest learned lesson.
I agree with you. I've had situations like that in the past, so I can definitely relate. And that was one of actually the things I've learned very, very hard in 2022. A lesson I learned.
Ouch. And I am so sorry I mean, really, you just kind of, I think it's kind of like people go through a divorce, and, you know, it's
it's emotional too, because it's it's like, yeah.
You know, you
lose a friend. It's like you're mourning. It's great,
yes,
right?
Absolutely. And so it's just find different. Oh, and the saying that I learned from a marketer, Evan Pagan, and his name, and I went to Get Altitude, which is way back in 2007. It was a huge conference. And he said, always start with a small pitch. And I've never forgotten that. And it doesn't even mean necessarily with the partnership. I mean, that's obviously the most extreme, but don't just jump in all sold and starry-eyed. Do a small pitch, see how it goes, see how they do. But when you go for this grand, glorious, in fact, the people who paint the grand and glorious the most are the ones you need to be most.
It's a lot of fluff. I get it.
A lot of
I
fluff
see it
out
too.
there.
I meet a lot of people, and it's a lot of fluff, and I'm just like, okay, like
it sounds good, but ... too good maybe. And so so the more they boast, the more braggadocious, the more you go, this seems suspicious. So
yeah.
There you go. That's a wealth
Well,
secret. That's an underground wealth secret right there.
I appreciate that. That's great feedback. I know, everybody needs to hear something, I certainly needed to hear that. I can relate to it. It's definitely a great tip to share. So getting back to the e-commerce side, so you're branching out now with
Yes.
building out these other companies. Can you give like a sky quick overview of how this works
Yes.
for
Yeah.
you with the e-commerce side? Like what would our viewers expect? Like how would this process work?
Well, I'm going to do a global picture for people because everybody pretty much knows, oh yeah, there's Amazon sellers. Somehow they make money on Amazon. There's many different ways to make money on Amazon. They have an affiliate program, which I do not recommend at all. It's so teensy. You barely make a dime with that, with their affiliate program, that is. Like, you'd have to be a mega marketer to do that, because we were mega marketers and we did do it. And anyways, that being said, there's a lot of different ways. So the one I want to hone in on that we teach on is becoming a third-party seller, which means you're selling through Amazon.com, selling products. So that's the one I'm going to hone in on, because that's our specialty. So if you start to go surfing on Google and whatnot, you're going to start to get bombarded with ads and whatnot. So I paint a picture of coming into the Amazon ecosystem as a third-party seller. It's like a swimming pool. And you have the shallow end of the swimming pool and you have the deep end of the swimming pool. Now, when you are new, you have no frame of reference or context of the ad you're looking at, the method you're looking at, and is it even appropriate for me as a brand new person? You don't have a frame of reference. So I'm going to help with that frame of reference so that at least people are walking away educated. All right. So as a seller on Amazon, you have to source products, and source means to find.
Okay.
And there's a whole realm of different ways for which you can find products to sell on Amazon, all with varying degrees of complexity. So at the shallow end of the pool, where you would put in a child who's learning to swim at age 2, you're going in the shallow end of the pool so they don't drown. The same is true in business. If you jump into the deep end, you could drown and lose your shirt and the money and everything. So we start people with a method called arbitrage, okay, on the shallow end of the pool. If you keep going in complexity, you'll maybe go to wholesale. You'll maybe go to liquidation. You might go to print on demand. You might go to private label. You might then even move out of the Amazon ecosystem and do Shopify, which means you really better be a competent marketer, because you're going to have your own website. You better know how to drive traffic. You better understand conversions, etc. So we have people coming in brand new who we start them with arbitrage. And that has the least variables for something to go wrong. So people don't understand that there's varying degrees of complexity and risk. So if you're over at private label, sourcing from China, for example, you're way in the deep end of the pool, for which if you're a beginner, one could say you have no business being there. But you don't know that. You read someone's sales letter, you're like, this is where I need to be swimming. No, not really. When you're new, you want to mitigate the risk to as small as you can, and that would be arbitrage. It's not to say private label doesn't work, but your likelihood of success becomes infinitesimally smaller. So I'm going to give you an example. So it is so quick and easy with arbitrage that literally with your smartphone, you can download an app, the Amazon Seller app. They made the app, Amazon did. It's free, but it won't work unless you have an Amazon account. What does this app allow you to do? It allows you to scan with your phone right here, the UPC code on any kind of product. So you'll recognize everybody, Burt's Bees. I have it upside down. Burt's Bees, this is my favorite, and I only buy it from Amazon. But anyways, when you scan this with your phone, it's going to automatically pull up, it's going to research within microseconds and identify, is it being sold on the Amazon platform? When it does that, it's going to tell you all this very critical data, what it's selling for, how much competition is there? What are the shipping fees? It lays it all out. Then while you're in a store, let's say I'm at Walgreens, they sell this at Walgreens, and you scan it, and then you put in that cost in this little field, you're going to instantly know the profitability of that product, which might be 0 or negative, or you're going to see that it's profitable. Okay.
Wow.
So that method is called arbitrage, and it means you would then buy this product. And by the way, this is not profitable to flip and sell on Amazon. I've already checked it out, but you would again scan it. So you scan it.
I ordered this from Amazon, guys. You can check for this.
There you go. There's
Right?
750 million products minimum being sold on Amazon, with more getting listed every day.
I order everything from Amazon.
Same here. Every day
really
we got
do.
the food, anyways. So that's called arbitrage. And then there's online arbitrage, which means you can do it through, we have a special software that we've created for that purpose. So that's what you can do in the easy end of the pool, the shallow end, where you've lowered your risk mitigation. Whereas if you do sourcing from China, my son is a sourcing agent in China, and we've taken people over there. But I tell you, now you have maybe 300 variables for something to go wrong. Maybe the factory burned down.
Wow.
Maybe did this happen? Maybe the supply chain to the factory, on and on and on and on and on. Oh, wait a minute, there's a strike going on at the docks at LA. Oh, the ships are now sitting out at sea for 3 to 4 months. Oh, darn. Oh man, those products I bought from China, I bought a whole container full that cost me 30 grand. They're sitting out there. Oh man, and there's a strike going on. Those are the kind of, when the variables stack up that high. No, if you're super experienced and you've got multiple supply chains, that's for multi-million-dollar sellers. That's not for a beginner seller. And yet, one of the most well-training programs out there teaches people that's the first place to start. It's a terrible thing to do. That's a very dangerous place to start. You should start where it's easiest. So we start with arbitrage. So there's that. And then I want to talk about, again, a global view. So I hope people can, because rarely do you hear the global view, because they have one main goal to bring you in a narrow channel to settle on one offer. Okay. And we've taught all the methods that I talked about. We've taught print on demand, wholesale, private label, Shopify. We taught all of those. But I'm just telling you, for your listeners, you're getting a global view. In fact, we have one of our most popular free content pieces. It's on our homepage. It's called the 3 Pillars of E-commerce Success. So I'm going to go through those. And I tell people, when you're looking at any business model, if they don't meet these 3 criteria, walk on by. So pillar number 1 is you need to look for a business model that can generate quick cash flow. So sourcing from China is not a way to generate quick cash flow. You're probably not going to get your product here until about 9 months later, because you got to do a lot of testing, blah, 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 blah. That's not quick cash flow. Okay. So you want to look for quick cash flow. If you learn how to do arbitrage through local stores, you could be out the next day and be shipping out within 3-4 days and be selling and making money within 2 weeks. That's quick cash flow. Okay. So generate cash flow so you can jumpstart your business and keep it going, so that you're not having to keep funding your business through your savings, your monthly paycheck. We put an X over that. Okay. The next thing that we teach in the 3 Pillars of E-commerce Success is to automate systems. So Julie, I know you are probably a very big believer in that. And we do teach that starting on day 1, actually. And it is a high level skill set, but we teach it to them because people, oh yeah, I want to grow a big business. I want to be able to have it to be scalable. Okay. Then you're going to have to understand and appreciate the value of having systems in your business, which you had told me, this is not a shiny object audience here. So I'm speaking into the hearts of the folks who want to hear the grown-up conversation. Don't paint it all pretty for me. Talk real. So I'm going to talk real. So the real
raw conversation.
The real raw conversation, which is, it's having the systems in place and having a team that can help run those systems for you. So one, if you can tap into people, a system where they can give you their standard operating procedures, is worth many several thousands of dollars because they did the hard work to do it. When they say, here's our blueprint, that's what McDonald's does with their franchise in Hamburger University. Here, it's proven, okay? So that's what we do with our members. Here, we have the proven standard operating procedures. Now you're going to need to hire virtual assistants who can help run those systems for you. Now that doesn't happen overnight. It's a skill set. But so that's pillar number 2, if you want to grow a scalable business. Otherwise, you're a one-man show running around crazy trying to do everything. And the last thing I tell people to look for is, are you building assets? Is this going to be something marketable? Is it going to have value in the marketplace that someone would be willing to write a check out for? So we have coaches who have developed their businesses that indeed there are teams who are running their businesses for them, and they check in. They've got 30 minutes of their day to just check in with their lead dog, who's overseeing the team of VAs. They worked hard to get there. But they got all the protocols, all the systems in place. Whether that took them a year and a half, it's darn well worth it. Because now they got lifestyle and they got cash flow. And so those 3 pillars are, again, generate cash flow, automate systems, and build assets. So that's what we tell people to look for. If you're going to look to get into an endeavor, consider those as, that's what we say to look for, especially in e-commerce.
That's really great feedback. Again, for our viewers, anything that Ann and I have been discussing today, please go to undergroundwealthsecrets.net/ecom, ECOM, for more information on everything that we've been reviewing today. So Ann, let me see. Yes. I got to ask you another question. What is one of probably the biggest accomplishments that you've had in your entrepreneurial career? Is there any specific time or thing that stood out where you knew, like, wow, like this is a special moment? Well, because there's so many, right? We all have these goals and milestones and things, whether that be financially or paying off the house or whatever it is. But is there any moment from your career that I have one, and it took a while to accomplish, but I get this dog to a bone GER factor is what I call it. Mm-hmm. And when I make up my mind, and it's just like, when I made the determination, this is doable, I see other people doing it. So now it's my turn and I'm going to do it too. So it was our application funnel that I was, somehow I got into someone's funnel. They had an ebook, or it was a book, something or other program. And then it led to, would you like a consultation? I'm like, yeah. Because I was I had been testing a Facebook group launch thing for like over a year. And it was like, no. So I was looking for a new, to develop a more enhanced funnel, which you're a funnel gal. So I think you and I are kind of, we're funnel people. I love sales funnels. Okay. That's my thing. I do too. I love working in funnels. It's fun, like building it and putting it together and then seeing it all work. I don't know. I just love that.
It's my all-time favorite. So with this, the application funnel, and I really only had one other person to kind of reference, and I didn't really know of a program to get into. I tried with one guy and I had to wait till module 7 to get, I'm like, no. I've got the whole funnel. It's converting here, but not here. So anyways, and the big breakthrough was when we shifted the CTA, instead of to free training, it was to book a call. And it was so amazing. And I really went all out. I rented the Airbnb. I flew my son up. He was in Mexico at that time. He's our videographer. He was down there as a digital nomad. I'm like, I'm going to fly you up here. We got to do this thing. And I just went all out. Like, and it was, things were getting really tight at that time. I'm like, it's when you find out what you're really made of, when you're like kind of pushed to the edge, and it's like, no, this is when I need to go all out and not hold back. So as soon as that went out, it instantly started to convert. It instantly, I mean, it was just like pull on the lever.
Just changing a few little words.
Just changing the CTA instead of and I mean, we're testing and every day looking at the data and the Vimeo stats and the this and the that. So, I mean, that was just like, yes. And then it's a beautiful offer. And I was like, and it has these things that I talked about too. And so, but just that was, and by the way, so my son had actually left the business. It was in 2016. And so he was my marketer, and then I took over marketing. My son, who was my business partner.
Now, were you still partners at the time?
He left in 2016, not when this application funnel, I took on all the marketing. I became the marketing director. So for 6 years, and then when I rolled out my 3-year living vision in June, he's like, okay, hey, I'd like to be a part of this after 6 years. But so that application funnel, I designed that. That was all me, and all the funnels I created after he had left. And so I grew the team substantially, more than double in size. But now he has taken my place as director, and I'm back to CEO. Yes.
That's a cool story, though. That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It took us about 5 months. So folks, you know, and it's like, I was so fastidious, and I was just like, I'm going to crack the code here. I got to crack the code. I'm going to crack the code. Yes. So, because I knew others were doing it. So it's like, it's got to be my turn too. So it's just pressing in, leaning in, talking to more people, getting advice. And it was just changed everything.
Amazing. What a story. That is just incredible. And it's just been such a pleasure having you on the show today. Before we close out, do you have any final words or thoughts you want to share with our viewers?
Well, I understand this is a varied audience who is interested in entrepreneurship. So I am just going to encourage people. I don't know, where you've thrown your line into the water, so to speak, to reel in your fish, but e-commerce is a blast. It's really an exciting place to be. It is just virtually limitless. And so much so that the reason I got inspired to expand what we're doing is I see my top sellers. Oh, so you're opening up that company now too, huh? Oh, and now you're opening up your third company, huh? And I'm like, well, say what? So it's so opportune. And what you really want to look for in an industry, do the waters get deeper with opportunity? Meaning, do they expand, or is it just end at one thing? And this is virtually limitless. So for example, they go and they set up their own prep and ship centers. One of my gals has opened up 3, and she gets them fully automated too. Her son in Thailand runs her prep and ship over in Los Angeles. She's been an account manager. She's done, I don't think she's done ads for people, but she keeps finding these other businesses so that she is a business of businesses. So what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't have to end with just being an Amazon seller. And here in our case, we teach e-commerce training. We're going to expand because there's so many needs along the way within this industry. And so our sellers naturally see this, and one does a product leads list company, one of our coaches. She's got 12 VAs. Wow. She started at a very humble beginning, $300 in the inventory, grew it to about 180,000 in 2 years, and now has all these employees in the Philippines, and her 3 little kids help her in the business. So it's endless opportunity. And so I invite your people to come and learn. Go to the URL. It is
yes, again, undergroundwealthsecrets.net/ecom. That's ECOM.
Yes, that's where you can go to learn more. So the other part is I want to encourage people. So I've been a lifelong educator. I homeschooled for 12 years. My parents are both teachers. I was a sports coach for 12, 15 years as well. Really? So education, yes, gymnastics.
Sports. Wow.
Gymnastics. That was my love and passion until my body kind of was like, I don't think so. My hands were killing me. I had tendonitis, and I loved it passionately. So, but what I want people to think about is, in order to thrive and prosper, is to be in a learning environment where you feel fully supported, so that you feel comfortable, you feel encouraged. So that's what I feel makes my community really different, is how we set up our education platform. I'm not a believer in just training. I'm a believer in community and mentorship, all encompassing. And the reason being is, when I first came online, I had the benefit of having a great mentor. So I have more than recreated the experience that I had that led to great success. And then I want to be that launching pad for other people.
Thank you so much, Ann. It was just, again, folks, everything we reviewed, you can check it out at undergroundwealthsecrets.net/ecom. That's ECOM. And I want to thank you so much for being a guest on our show today. It was such an honor to have you on.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to meet with you all as listeners. I hope you enjoyed this information.
Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Underground Wealth Secrets. May these nuggets of wisdom lead you to finally discovering your true potential. Become one of the most reliable businesses out there that's dedicated both to filling up your bank accounts and leaving a positive impact on your community. Get more informative and engaging conversations like this one at undergroundwealthsecrets.net. Don't forget to leave a positive rating and share with your friends. That's all for now. Until next time.